Hi, welcome to Fitness Without Filter. I'm Richard Palfrey, and today I'm talking to Kelvin. As we know, this podcast is all about information, interesting stories, and good points that people can relate to and hopefully gain something from. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much into Kelvin's background. I'll let him introduce himself, and we'll go from there. So, Kelvin, buddy, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. So my name's Kelvin, or as it says in my name, Oggy Silver Fitness. My real name is Kelvin, but most people call me Oggy. And the reason why I'm called Silver Fitness on my YouTube channel is one, because I've got silver hair, because it's a fitness channel. Clever, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So my background is I am 63 years old currently at time of recording. So that means I was born in 1960. Um, I've always been into fitness, and as a young boy in the '60s, I was always playing football out. Back in the day when kids were allowed out or kicked out by their parents, and say, "Right, come back when it's dark," and playing football in the park. I didn't have a particularly wonderful upbringing. We weren't particularly rich, but we still had a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And out on our bikes and stuff like that. Fast forward to my teens, and I got more and more into. I realised I actually enjoyed keeping fit. I went to a what was called a bog standard comprehensive, which was quite dire, to be quite honest.
Right.
And it was we boys were encouraged to play sport, and so that was a bonus. And I played football a lot, was the main thing. We did a little bit of athletics in the summer, and also we did a little bit basketball. But as I'm only 5'7", 5'8", I'm not exactly the right height to play basketball. Fast forward to you see the size of some of those guys,
Mm.
amazing. Fast forward to 1977, I left school and I thought, what do I want to do now? So I joined the Royal Navy. And so 18th of October 1977, of course, when you're in the armed forces, you have to do some level of fitness. And that really I got the bug. Um, I joined my one thing that stuck to me was in 1978. I was on my first ship, which was called HMS Hermes, 78 or 79, maybe 78, I think. And there was a big, big Irish physical training instructor. And I went for the what was called Huffers and Puffers rather than the regular one because I didn't think I was fit enough. And he said something that has stuck with me for the rest of my life. He said, if I was 18, and I was nearly 18 at this stage, I would be ashamed to be here. And do you know what? That resonated and still resonates with me.
Hmm.
Um, because, and yeah, throughout my 20s, I I started to fall in love with resistance training, weight training, although I was deployed a lot. And, but family came along and lots of, buying a house and all kinds of things. But my fitness never stopped in one way, shape, or form. And then going into my 30s as well and into my 40s, still continued to doing, what I want to do. Going back to the 80s, one of my dreams was to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Now, now I know in hindsight I was never going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, no matter how hard I tried. But hey ho, you live and learn. So then going on to my 40s, and then that's when it's like my trousers started to get a little bit tight.
Hmm.
And I had to go from, I was naturally a 32 waist, and I had to go up to a 34 waist. And it started thinking, oh, it's because of my age and there's nothing I can do about it. Like a lot of people think when they get to their 40s. Anyway, when I got to my 50s, I, I was normally around about 11 and a half stone. Um, when I got to my 50s, or very early 50s, I realized I'd gone up to about 13 stone. I
Right.
felt very, very sluggish. And, I felt, I've got to do something about this. And I thought, right. So I found a program called Insanity.
Yep, I remember that one.
I don't know. And it was insane. But I got through it. And I'm so proud I got through it. And it did the job. And ever since then, I've kept the I've kept the belly fat off. I've kept the weight off. And then at the age of 57, I thought, I want to help other people. So I ended up getting my personal trainer qualification at the age of 57. And because of my age by then, I did really want to help older people and just to prove one, you don't need to be 20 something to be fit.
Mm-hmm.
You can be fit at any age and you can start at any age. Fast forward, and I'm now in my, I suppose, nearly mid 60s. And I've got clients ranging from the age of 34 right through to the age of 81.
Fantastic.
Right. So obviously, very different ends of the age spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to treat them very, very differently. Got a qualification in exercise for older adults, which teaches you, the differences when they're older, might be chair bound or wheelchair bound or a lack of mobility, etc. And that, a nutshell. I do tend to ramble on a bit, but that is my background and why I am where I am today. Oh,
That's brilliant,
sorry,
mate. Thank you very much.
I did forget. I did start my YouTube channel in March 2020 at the start of lockdowns because I wanted to help people and show people that you can exercise at home without any equipment or with minimal equipment.
Cool. Well, let's say I said give me an introduction, buddy. That was fantastic. Thank you very, very much. We're all done for now. We'll call it a day. No, brilliant. Okay, that was great. So we've got a great idea of your background and where you're from and how you've come to where you are currently. I mean, I've worked with people of a senior age. I would say that myself, being 42 as I am. Do you think there's still a lot of stereotypes involved as people get older, that they stay away from exercise or they're afraid of it because they think, oh shit, like you said, I'm not 20 anymore. I'm going to feel intimidated in the gym, or this is going to hurt me too much, and I want to stay away from it?
Yes. Oh, absolutely spot on. Being in the industry myself, it is a fact that the vast majority of people who are in the industry and are who do keep fit are in the 20s and 30s. It is becoming more older people are doing more exercise, right? But I still think that it's very difficult and it's the mindset. And there's a couple of reasons why I think. One is in this day and age, we've got social media and you've got to see these young, perfect bodied, male and female, in their skimpy trunks or bikinis or whatever, and pose and everything like that. That is not real life. All right. And people say late 30s onwards see that and they think, oh, I can never be like that. Because they're not educated properly. All right. And not only that, I feel that as you get older and you settle down, maybe you got kids and everything like that, you don't have as much time and you lack of energy and stuff like that. And you a hard day at work, full day's work, and you slump in front of the TV, and that's you for the night until you go to bed. But it becomes a vicious cycle. And I do think that it is out there, and it's been said to me, you're too old to exercise, why are you doing it? And I, once I've muttered expletives under my breath, I explain why. And there are a number of reasons why I firmly believe that you can exercise and you should exercise from the 30s onwards. It's not just for teenagers or those in their 20s.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hear you on that one. Like you said, unfortunately, it is a very, very common mindset of like, I'm deterred from it because I'm not this body, I'm not this person, but also there's an expectation, certainly in the Western world, that once you reach certain ages, you're supposed to live a certain way.
Yeah.
I got to 40 and older. I'm not meant to exercise. I'm just meant to get slower and less capable and fat. And I get unhealthy as I get older. And it's not the case. You and I know this, and you're a brilliant example of it. But unfortunately, it's a stereotype that we do have to try and fight, don't we?
Yeah, and there's one other specific stereotype that I'd like to bring up, which absolutely grips me, it annoys me to hell, is that women who lift weights will turn into men. All
Ah,
right.
yes, because that's so easy.
Oh, yeah, of course you are. Yeah, yeah, of course you are. Now,
Yeah.
I've mentioned my clients, right? 34-year-old, she's a female, all right? She lifts weights. She can back squat 100 kilograms. She's a female and as feminine as you like,
Hmm.
all right? But she can lift heavy
Yeah.
because I taught her. I've got another female client. She's 42, exactly the same,
Yes.
all right? And out of my other clients, um, three of them are female, all right? And okay, they're in their 60s and one's in their 70s, and they do resistance training, but with
Hmm.
bands rather than weights because we don't do it in a gym.
Right.
But the myth is still out there. I've seen it recently. Is
Hmm.
that women who lift weights are going to turn into men? I don't want to be big and bulky, and well, you will never turn into a man. You will get muscular,
Hmm.
and you will look better. Your clothes will fit better, but you will not turn into a man. I absolutely guarantee it that it is biologically impossible. Hands up, I'm not a doctor.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. It does creep in wherever I've lived and worked in the world. That's still out there. Oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to look like a guy. Like, if it was that easy to drastically change your physique, men would all look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It doesn't
Yeah,
work like that.
yeah, there is that. There's this thing that we as men in our bodies have got a hormone, testosterone, which most people have heard about. And that's why we can put on muscle a lot easier than women can because they
Hmm.
do have testosterone, but it's a lot lower level than um, than men do. They have a lot lower level than men have,
Hmm.
and also they have higher levels of estrogen. We as men have tiny little bits of estrogen. That's the way it is. But
Yes.
it's not until the menopause, women get to the menopause, that their testosterone levels start to creep up. And, but it will never be as much as men have. And that is why women can put on muscle,
Hmm.
but they will never look like a man or anything like that. Those that do, maybe controversial here, are taking extra substances, shall we
Yes,
say.
yeah, yeah. The old medicine cabinet's been raided a few times.
Correct. And that's not that doesn't include things like protein powder or anything like that, or good meat or anything like that. That's the extra
Hmm.
medical
Yeah.
stuff that they maybe inject or take pills.
Yeah, it's one thing I found. Then I don't know if you'll have noticed it as well that through the early process of adaptation, when women in particular start training, especially resistance training, the obviously muscular adaptation occurs before body fat reduction. So it's the initial, oh my god, my muscles are just basically taking shape below the body fat, but I'm getting bigger. Look, everything feels a bit tighter. Like, whoa, just stick with it. You've got to
Yeah,
get past that phase, and then you'll start to see the actual shaping of your body. I think that's the early stage where some women really do start to panic.
yeah, and I think that also is going too fast as well
Hmm.
at the beginning. You're going to hurt, and uh, and that puts people off. I'll give you another perfect real life example. A former client of mine, she's 39 years old, and she told me that after a few weeks of training with me, that her clothes fit better. Colleagues have noticed her arms are more muscular, but they look more toned.
Hmm.
And the biggest compliment she got, single compliment she got, apart from me, was from her sister, who was roughly the same age, who I don't know. And she said, "Your bum looks better and tighter." Um, and that's, when you get to 38, even, that's a relatively young age.
Hmm.
Is that especially for, I think, for a woman, that kind of compliment from your sister, your sibling, is absolutely spot on and makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it tends to hit home.
The other two clients I had, a female, 34 years old and 42 years old. Both of their colleagues have said, because like in the summer they wear these vest top things, and said, your arms are looking and shoulders are looking good. Have you been doing something? And it's all down to resistance training. But
Hmm.
it's not to say they're like a female version of Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah.
was in his prime.
Do you find then, I'm curious with your client base, do you find, because it's something I've noticed, that when you're working with men and women as clients, once women start to see the positive changes that they would have liked to have seen, they are much, much more persistent and consistent in their training and their behaviors because they see the benefit in themselves, whereas men can really waver in their commitment.
Yeah. So um, the two the two male clients I've got, right? One's 81 and the other one is 68.
Right,
I my initial target audience was men your age. I
right.
got no response at all.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot down to the male ego.
Yep, yep.
To be quite honest, I don't need anyone to tell me what to do, kind of thing. Well, yes, you do. We all do.
Yes.
Um, but I agree with you. Is that I have seen it and say, they last 4 weeks and then think they know it all, and they dip in and out, and um, so yeah. But women, once they start seeing the results,
Hmm.
they want to stick at it, because they want to show the friends and the family and everything like that. Maybe it becomes an emotional thing as well.
Yes.
I had one of my clients who couldn't work out with me for 2 days last week. I wasn't going to see her till the Friday. She said, "I haven't worked out for 2 days. I need to work out tomorrow if you're available." This is on the Thursday. Sorry, on the Friday. We were going to see each other on the Sunday, because she missed 2 days. And she said, "I felt grumpy all day yesterday. And I needed to do something." Yeah.
Right.
So I absolutely agree. Is that um, the benefits are immense.
Hmm.
Especially as you get older and in your 30s, and we can discuss those benefits as well whenever.
Sure. I mean, do you think there's anything like enough done to convince younger people? And I'm talking maybe even as young as end of school leavers, but into their 20s and through 20s and 30s, that you need to look after yourself so you can be healthy for as long as possible later into life. Because I really don't. I think there's a massive void when it comes to healthcare and health awareness.
Oh, I do. And the unfortunate thing is, I think is nutrition is very important. Exercise
Hmm.
is important, but nutrition is even more important. And you're seeing kids now around the world, um, who are obese,
Yep.
and it's all down to the rubbish food that is easily available. It's cheap. It's prolific. Even in the likes of Japan and in countries like that, where you think that they're all slim and everything like that.
Hmm.
And I think that it's education at school. It needs to start. I said the reason why you need to why exercise is good for you, and why good nutrition is good for you, and why it will be good for you as you grow up and grow older, etc., etc. I appreciate that some foods are so like maybe at the price range of some people. I get
Hmm.
that, but there are still some good, decent foods that anyone on any budget can do, and it's a lot cheaper than going down to the local uh, burger bar. I won't mention any names, or chicken place or whatever, but you
Hmm.
get my point.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's education, education. I think we are in some ways in the fitness industry our own worst enemy, because we don't do enough of it.
Yes.
And you got the likes of Joe Wicks, obviously, and those kind of that, but they are a tiny minority who are that kind of got that kind of reach. Most
Hmm.
of us don't have that, and certainly in schools and everything like that, you could get somebody. I don't know what they do. I really don't. I've got grandkids. And I'm not aware that they have really any health and fitness education.
Yeah, honestly, I've got friends that work with a school within a school environment as outside sort of advisors and contractors, and as such, have dealings with the local government where they live, if it's London or elsewhere. And like you said, there's very little. Like you and I would have grown up, you'd run around before school started, you run around at break time, you run around at lunchtime, you run around in PE, you run around after school.
Yeah.
But these days, there's very much reduced enthusiasm amongst children themselves that I can see to just be active for active's sake. But when it comes to the structuring of the curriculum, certainly from again friends that have got children, the one thing that the school is happy to pull away from as a collective is exercise, because there's no exam for that, which means the school gets no rating for that. So if anything, it will downgrade arts, it will downgrade exercise, because they can just go, oh no, we'll squeeze academia to the forefront, because as a body, we're assessed by our exam results.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, my attitude should be, and I've noticed this in previous episodes, I think health education should be a part of the curriculum.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Spot on. It's incumbent on people who are in the public eye, and I think like professional sportsmen and women, why not? It's not going to be you and me.
Yes. Yeah.
Unlikely. It's going to be people, and I'm not talking, even if you could get David Beckham in or, that kind of level, it needs people with his kind of clout or that kind of clout or the current, I don't watch football anymore for various reasons, but, and rugby players and people like that need to be encouraged to go into schools and explain what the benefits are of health and fitness for their age. And as they do get older, become adults and mature to come somebody like my age.
Yes.
Because it does make an awful lot of it. You've got that grounding, and you're not facing a battle. I faced my own battles, and I thought I was fit and healthy. But I came to realise that when I got to my 40s, that I wasn't doing enough, even though I did a lot in my early days. So you can imagine somebody who does nothing.
Yes.
Of course, these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are a godsend in many respects, But as I say, at your age, you may have had one when you were a teenager. I don't know, but they weren't even a thing when I was a teenager.
No, the old mobile phone was coming around just as I turned 18.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And and it's a lot of screen time as well. I mean, that's life at the moment. But again,
it is.
I don't see so many kids out on their bikes as when
No. It's I saw a statistic on. I can't even begin to figure what part of the internet or what I was looking at just last week, but it said the average young teen at the moment spends 7 to 8 minutes outdoors, but up to 7 hours in front of a screen every day.
Wow.
Now that's a hell of a ratio to try and shift, and it only gets worse as we get older because we fill our time and our lives with more commitments.
Yeah, that's a shocking statistic.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But it takes. It's going to be a long battle. Look at the state America is. When America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cough or whatever the state.
Yeah. No, it is true.
The obesity rates, even amongst the young, let alone older people in America, are absolutely, really quite shocking.
Yep.
And there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
And despite all the initiatives from government, whatever. But one thing, I saw a program on TV the other day, Around the World in 80 Ways.
I've not seen it yet, but I saw the trailer for it.
You've got to see it.
Right, okay.
So a friend of mine put me onto it. And basically, they've got, I think it's 6 obese adults. Okay, there's only one couple. The others, didn't know each other. But they are clinically obese.
Right.
And they took them to, the first country was, I've forgotten now, first country. Anyway, so it was Japan, India, America. Oh, and I think it was Indonesia, were the 4 countries. And in Japan, what they do, they are having the Western problems
Hmm.
starting to creep in. So the government said something about it. Every company has got to provide, I think it's 10 to 15 minutes exercise per day for all
Right.
employees.
Hmm.
They have to do um, measurements for them every year by law.
Right.
I can't see that ever happening in the UK or
No,
so.
there'd be far too many people like shouting, going, "Oh no, I don't want to do this. How could you impinge on my human rights?"
Exactly. But it has reduced obesity because it
Hmm.
was the same old problem is that the Western diet and the fast food was creeping more and more into the Japanese culture.
Yes.
Um, but they've brought this in and it is on the decrease in Japan.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much. I don't remember him recalling saying, "Oh, it's gone down by 20% in 10 years or whatever." I don't
Hmm.
recall that kind of statistic, but it is now obesity in Japan is on the slide.
Yeah.
So an
I. D-
answer, yes, in Japan, an answer for us and
mhm.
elsewhere in the Western world or throughout the Western world. I think that would be very hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to bring those programs in for younger people at school, and then let's say the mainstay of someone's working career, but we really probably do need those kind of programs in place, community programs for people who are older than that, into their 40s and beyond, to go, encourage people to go into a gym, encourage people to go walking in groups, just to adopt a more active lifestyle,
Yeah,
similar to that program in Japan.
yeah, yeah. I agree, and it's like I said to you, my 81-year-old client I've just taken on. He's just starting. The
Hmm.
reason why is his daughters contacted me because he had a fall
Right.
and he couldn't get up. He didn't have the strength to get
Hmm.
himself up off the floor.
Yep.
So, and he was laid on the floor for 4 hours before a neighbour happened to try and raise him and
Hmm.
eventually got into his flat and got him off the floor. Spent 4 days in hospital.
Yep.
And the reason being is because he had neglected his fitness. He used to be a rugby player when he was younger, sorry.
Hmm.
You know, so, but he neglected it. Typical, stereotypical, neglected it. I'm now too old to exercise
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
dropped it all.
It wouldn't do me any good because I'm old. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And lo and behold, he's 81 and he didn't even have the strength to get himself off the floor. And this is one of the things I like to get over to my older clients.
Hmm.
Okay, is it's not because you want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger did in his prime, or that beautiful, slim blonde who poses on Instagram, whatever, which is
Hmm.
fake. Didn't say that. And, it's to improve your life. It's your
Yes.
lifestyle. It's a daily activities. Like if you do have a fall, because as we get older, we're more likely to fall over, and we don't have the core strength to stop ourselves from falling, or our
Yes. Yeah.
balance isn't great. And but also, you do get down to the ground is being able to get yourself off the ground,
Hmm.
and that's a case in point that 81-year-old man was on the floor for 4 hours. What if it had gone for 8 hours,
Yes.
10
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
or longer?
Yeah.
Who knows what
It
could have
it,
happened?
it does happen. I mean, both of my grandmothers during the latter part of their lives both fell and both broke their hips.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know from my own professional knowledge that insurance actuaries who base all their quotas for how they obviously cover people's health policies, the data they draw from that if once you get past a certain age, and I forget what it is, but obviously it's the latter part of our lifespans.
mm,
Um, Once you fall and break your hip, if you're over a certain age, you are I think it's 50-60% likely to fall and break the other hip
yeah,
within 18 months,
yeah,
because the loss of cognitive control, balance, like you said, it's not just a case of your strength and ability to move, it's you can't prevent a fall.
yeah. And that's exactly right. And as I go on to other daily activities, it's like carrying the shopping.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, something going up the stairs, or even just taking the dog for a walk.
Or comfortably getting in and out of your car, because these days cars are either huge or they're very, very low.
Exactly. And or getting out of your chair
Hmm.
without having to use the handles, literally just
Yes.
standing up. So one of the exercises I do for mine, not the 81-year-old, he's not there yet, he's not strong enough for that yet.
Hmm.
For the other group of 3 clients I do together, the oldest is 76, and there's a couple who are both 68. One of the exercises I do for them is literally standing up, sitting down in a chair,
Yep.
and that's an exercise.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
You're basically doing a box squat that
yeah,
I have rugby players doing.
yeah, it's the same thing, but it's a
Yeah.
daily activity, getting out
Yes.
without
Yeah.
having to shuffle to the forward and then really struggle, everything like that. So it's daily activities. It's reaching for something in the cupboard high up, gardening, anything like that. And
Yes.
that's why people in older, because we do lose muscle mass. While we're on that, we do lose muscle mass. Some stage in our 30s, we all do. You do,
Yeah.
I do, so does everyone, male or female, and it's in a shocking rate. I think, what is it, 1% every few years of muscle mass or something like that. Now, if you start at a low muscle mass, so you've done nothing in your 20s,
Hmm.
by the time you get to your early 30s, you're going to lose what you have got. And you're starting low, you're going to go even lower.
And if you've already lost that, you've already also gained quite a lot of body fat as well.
And you've gained body fat because you're inclined to move less, and therefore it's a vicious cycle. You start
Hmm.
digging out more, whatever.
Yeah.
And when you get into your 40s and 50s and beyond, you're going to struggle. You are
Yes.
really, and your quality of life, and you could end up taking God knows how many medicines for this or whatever. Uh, you've got to exercise when you're younger and
Hmm.
carry it on throughout your life.
I love the fact that you mentioned grandkids, because it ties in very nicely to what I was going to say, which is one of the key points I've always used with older clients is I always talk quality of life with all my clients, especially as you get older. The
Yeah,
quality of life should be what you focus on,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you're less likely to think about a weight or a holiday. It's going to be your
yeah,
quality of life.
yeah,
I always go back to, right, do you have grandkids? And they go, yes, right.
yeah.
How much do you want to interact with your grandkids, and how
Yes,
much do you actually interact with your grandkids?
yes.
If you can run around and have fun and not think about, "Oh, I've got 5 minutes before I'm completely out of it, or I need to sit down, or whatever else, I don't want to hurt my back, I can't lift you above my shoulders," anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, and that spot on. And that's one thing I did bring up in one of my videos actually, and
Hmm.
just reminded me of that. It is, one of my grandchildren now. She's 7, right, and I can still lift her up, right.
Right.
She's quite a weight, and the other one is 9,
Right.
right, and I can still lift her up, right, but she's still quite a weight. I've got 2 twin 18-year-olds who I can't lift up anymore. They're taller than me, and so. But the point is, you're absolutely right. Is when the boys were younger, I used to take them over to the park. We used to play football for an hour and whatever. When they could old enough, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Hmm.
before they got to teenage years. Oh, I don't want to be with grumpy or anything like that. But you're absolutely spot on. Is having fun with your grandchildren, just lifting them up, carrying them. What if they fall over? Are you going to be able to lift them up? What if they fall off the bike? Can you lift them and the bike up? And the parents aren't around. So pushing them on the swing. Is you're working your arms, or you're working your chest. That kind of thing. But I've seen parents who, in the park, who haven't, not parents, sorry, older people, maybe parents as well, who just
Hmm.
do not have the strength to give them a good, decent push on the swing, or, on the roundabout or whatever piece of kit is in the park, and it's quality of life all around. Grandkids, not falling over, not taking so many medicines when you get older.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, Bones for women especially is when they get to the menopause is osteoporosis. Resistance training helps with your bone density, makes them stronger, so you're less likely to have problems with osteoporosis as a woman. All right. And I obviously didn't go through the menopause myself, but I've learned that resistance training and any kind of training can help women go through the menopause as well. And so that's another bonus that why you should be exercising, and it's not just for people in their 20s or even throughout life.
Absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Okay, so let's imagine for a second we've got a theoretical new client coming to you who's over 50. What do you think would be a good starting base? You're giving them a talk to tell them, okay, you've not been doing that much with yourself for the last few years. Maybe you've not been eating and drinking too healthily, and you've really not been doing much in the way of exercise. What would be your advice to anyone who comes to you, or anyone who's listening and watching this? What would be a good recommendation of a starting point?
So the worst thing I could say is, all right, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. We're doing this. Bye. So it would be baby steps, literally baby steps. And that was with regards to nutrition, maybe alcohol, and exercise as well. It's got to be baby steps. I'll give you a perfect example. I did one of my clients was in his 50s, and I did nutrition analysis for him. And he didn't even realize this, even though he was in his 50s. He was having, most days of the week, 8 slices of bread.
Right, okay.
All right. So I said, right, we need to cut that down. Having that much bread per day, and it's only the shop bought stuff, it's not the artisan bread or anything like that.
Okay, so it's low quality.
Homemade, it's low quality, it's not doing you much good. So I said, right, instead of having 8, cut it down to 6. So within 4 weeks, I expect you to only be having 6 slices per day. Fast forward, and then we cut it down to 6 and 4. And now he eats it irregularly. I know him. He's a good friend of mine.
Right.
And so is baby steps with exercise as well. He hates lifting weights.
Right.
So I got to say, right, you don't need to lift weights to do exercise. You do off-road biking. You need to have strong legs to hold yourself onto the bike. You need to have a strong core. You need to have strong legs. So I said, just do some body weight, and I gave him some body weight stuff. And this is where it should start before you start doing crazy stuff in the gym. Right, do body weight stuff, do press ups. Okay, if they're at a level of fitness anyway, all right, I may start them off with 10 reps of, let's say, squats, body weight squats. Okay, no kit at all. But I'd say if it's too easy, do 12 or do 15. You find your own level. So I gauge what their ideal level is to start with, so they're not getting out of breath. And this goes for press ups and everything like that. When they've got stronger, and there's nothing wrong, right at the beginning, you can get some brilliant resistance bands, for instance, nowadays, right, to add that extra bit of resistance in. Start off at the lower rate, a £10 or 10 kilogram band rather than the 50 kilogram band or anything like that. I think one of the biggest problems is that you're new to exercise is that you try and go too fast, and delayed onset of muscle soreness, or as we know it as DOMS, and it will put people off.
Yes, yeah.
Start off, my ideal client, I would say, right, we're going to start off slowly, and if they really are obese and really, really unfit, I'll go for a walk with them.
Yep, I've done that.
Literally just go for a walk and chat as we go. And as we're walking around, I say, right, there's a Give me 10 squats, that kind of thing, as we're walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so chatting is that they do it. They may
Yep.
not be deep squats, but they're doing squats, all right? But just going for a walk and just doing, let's say a 30-minute walk,
Mm-hmm.
and then talking, chatting, so it takes their minds off them. And then I say, right, give me 10 squats, give me 6 calf raises or whatever. You get my point.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Baby steps. So that's week 1, day 1. And then do it 2-3 times a week. And it's got to fit into your lifestyle.
Yes.
That is very important. All right. If you can work out best at 6 o'clock in the morning, do so. But if it's 8 o'clock at night, do so. Right. Everybody is different. And that's the thing about having a personal trainer rather than having a group class, is that you can actually bespoke it for that individual. Start off slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go too crazy. If you don't want a personal trainer, then there's loads of stuff on the internet, but be aware there is lots of stupid stuff out there as well. Okay. If you don't want to use a gym, don't want to go into the gym, buy some resistance bands. They're cheap. You can buy a set of resistance bands for £30,
Mm-hmm.
right? And use them and look at videos to see how you use them and the different kinds of exercises you can do. So that's it really for a brand new client who hasn't done anything for a while. Take it easy at first, build up slowly, baby steps, and look at your nutrition as well. Do you really need to eat 8 slices of bread a day? Did you know you're eating 8 slices of bread
Yep.
a day? Alcohol is always a contentious issue. I'd be a complete hypocrite. I said, don't drink alcohol because I like my red wine. But I don't go crazy on it.
Right.
But and take it baby steps. Take baby steps really, because that's how it's gonna be long term. And
Yep.
goals. What's your? I call it a big airy ass go or BHAG. Okay, so what do you want to do this for? And for some people, for a woman who may be 50s and's got a daughter in her 20s who's getting married, because my daughter's getting married next year. That's great. That's a big airy ass goal. So that is the ultimate goal, the big goal. Okay, that's the one in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how are we going to achieve that, right? What do you want to do? Oh, I want to get into a size 12 dress. And then we break it down. I would break it down from there. Okay, so this is how we're going to start off. We're going to short, medium, long-term goals. We're going to do this and then break it down. This is for nutrition and exercise as well. So if you follow this path, right, if you really want that big goal, then if you follow this path, you are going to reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll give you an example. One of my clients who I mentioned with a couple, she's 68. She went to her, I want to say, granddaughter's or a family relative's wedding last year. She went there and her family hadn't seen her for a while because they live in a different part of the country, and said, basically, wow, you look amazing. What have you done? And I'd been working with her by then for 18 months. She'd lost 3 stone.
Right.
Okay. So with that, she got to that goal. Okay. But it was, working out and listening to what I said. Okay. So you've got to have that big goal. You've got to ask your question, why do I want to do it?
Yes. Yes, like you say, you've hit on some fantastic points there, buddy. I mean, that's the idea of, like you said, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know why you're doing it, because otherwise, why would you stick with it? Yeah. But also, what you do has to be relatable. You have to fit it into your life. I mean, it's a very true thing. The reason why everyone fails with their January plans is because they go, oh, I'm going to pay for this program, or I'm going to join this group, and they're all going to do the same thing. Well, you don't all live the same lives.
Yeah.
So you can't live someone else's life. Their schedule won't fit yours. They may have got no kids. You may have got 3. You're not going to go to the gym first thing in the morning because you've got the school run. Immediately, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So the relatability is really, really a key point.
Yeah. And so that's another question I'd ask. If they're hiring me as a personal trainer, then I say, when's the best time for you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, for some people, they're flexible, especially if they're older. They're flexible, they're retired, and so they've got more time on their hands. But then I've got a life as well. So I've got to fit into my schedule as well.
Yes.
So there's that. The 81-year-old, he said, well, the best time for me is 8:30 in the morning because I do three times a week. I do croquet,
Right.
which is another exercise. And because of my schedule, the only day I could do that was on a Friday. So we arranged it for Friday morning, 8:30 in the morning, okay, where I go to his house. And that's another thing is, can I go to their houses, right, is another thing. And that helps people enormously. Okay, it helps people enormously. So that's it. It's got to fit into your lifestyle. Right, an 81-year-old. If an 81-year-old who's retired, doesn't work, it's got all the time in the world, says 8:30 in the morning is the best time for me, we do it 8:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same whether you're hiring somebody like me or you or by yourself. I prefer to exercise. Or if it's a busy mum, drop the kids off school, said, right, before my day starts proper, I'm going to do my exercise 9:30. Kids are at school, and I've got this half an hour. And that's another thing is, how much time do you have? How much time do I actually have? Is it 15 minutes? Good, let's do 15 minutes. Or you do 15 minutes. Is it 30 minutes? Is it an hour? Going past an hour, you get a bit stupid, in my opinion, unless you really have got nothing else to do with your life. Okay? But if you can only do 15 minutes a day, do 15 minutes a day. But do it regularly as well. Do it regularly. And, you will see, if you're starting from a very low level, it will go up like that. It will go up like that, as long as you carry on with it. And But you've got to challenge yourself as well.
Yes,
And that's very important. So it could be, instead of doing 10 squats, you do 12 or 20 or whatever. You get my point. So
absolutely.
That's another thing I encourage people to do.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. I agree with everything you just said there, buddy. And I'm looking at the corner of my screen because I've got the clock on what we're doing. Well, before we started recording, we said we'd aim for about an hour. So we're nudging up to that. So I know it's been great talking to you, and I'm fully sure that I'm going to come back to you and speak to you in the future. So what about yourself at the moment with your current fitness activities and fitness goals? Are you maintenance fitness? So, I mean, Dick Van Dyke still trains every day in his late 90s. So you've got a long way to go yet. What's the fitness goal?
Well, my fitness goal is to, one, I don't want to have to take any medicines as I get older. My wife is 72 and she doesn't take any medicines. For people our age, that's very unusual.
Yeah.
It has to be said.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be said. But we enjoy our lives, right? We enjoy our lives. My own thing, I exercise because I manage a small gym as well, and it is very small. So I want to stay strong. All right. I want to be able to walk in 20 years' time. I want to be able to walk up the stairs and not get out of breath.
Uh-huh.
I want to. I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. I want to still be able to lift weights. I want to, as I get into my late 60s, I want to be able to carry the shopping. We like to holiday. I want to be able to lift the suitcases out of the boot of the car, or put them in without struggling. So I'm maintenance. I'm Having said that, I don't know if you've heard of a competition called High Rocks.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Brutal. Okay, so me and my training partner, also one of my clients, we're maybe looking at doing that next year.
In the masters category.
Well, well, she's 42, so I'm not sure she fits into that. We're looking at doing a mixed doubles one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to win or anything like that, but it's a goal.
Hey, don't set yourself down. You never know.
So that is a goal that I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, along with her. So hopefully, so I have got that. But at the moment, right now as we speak, it's maintenance mode and
Yep.
just keeping. I'm not going for personal bests or anything like that. Although I do get them occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's an extra kilogram on top of my back squat.
Right.
An extra kilogram. It's still a personal best.
Absolutely.
I'm still getting them, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bonus now. Nowadays, they're a bonus. I have to be realistic. The old bones do creak, even no matter how much you do. But they could be in a lot worse state than they are because I have been exercising throughout my life.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that I have.
It's what it's all about, essentially. Like you say, quality of life. It's pushing all those markers that we expect in later age, push them as far away as possible.
Yeah.
You don't rush to get to them. You go, no, I'm not going to be like that. Like you just said there, I'm in my 60s. So,
yeah.
And I think the idea that you've got that fitness goal is fantastic.
Yeah. One other thing we haven't mentioned, of course, is the benefits of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Younger, and certainly as you get older, is mental health and
Yes.
Cognitive decline, which as you get older is more likely. There is some evidence out there that if you regularly exercise, we'll set nutrition apart because it's that included as well, but if you regularly exercise, it can reduce your chances of getting dementia by something like 25%. I think it was. Don't quote me on that, but it's quite a lot.
Right.
All right. And obviously things like dementia, Parkinson's and things like that are more prevalent as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
It's beginning to come to know, scientists are beginning to understand that if you exercise, then it can lessen your chances of getting those horrible things as you get older. Okay, as well as the mechanical things like breaking bones or something like that. So everyone should do something, and it's not too late to start.
Absolutely, and that's a fantastic message to wrap up on. I fully agree with you, buddy. I really do. It's like we talked about. I really do wish there was more of a certainly national for the UK. This sense of it's not to be, oh, you're one of those healthy people. It should be a case of no, we're all like that.
Yeah.
It should be the attitude. It's not the rare ones; it's the common.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes,
education.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelvin, thank you very, very much for your time, buddy. It's been fantastic talking to you. I hope everyone enjoys watching and listening to this. I'm going to say goodbye to you properly when we stop recording. But for now, then, just as we wrap up, your email, your Facebook group, your YouTube channel, how can people find you?
So I think the best thing is to go onto my YouTube channel, which is, as it says in my name, and Oggy Silver Fitness, all one word. And so all my exercises, and I gave advice as well, are all for people working out at home. And and my other details are on there, my email address and my Facebook and Instagram. Not that I'm a big user of Instagram, and I'm also on Twitter as well. So even despite being an old git, I do get around a bit.
That's fantastic. Well, what I'll do, buddy, as well, is I will make sure that all those details go below this video when it goes on YouTube and everything else, and on my Instagram. So your details are out there for everyone to find.
That's great. Thanks very much. It's been great.
All right. Okay, buddy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we've got to get the message out there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks very much, Richard.